Hey, so I've gotten a lot of requests to show a step-by-step process on how I teach a horse to lay down. So I'm gonna go ahead and film that today. It's gonna be pretty raw, just kind of to show you a little bit of how I've been teaching this guy. This is my 4th day working with him. This is Maverick. He's 11 years old. He's a quarter horse. And yeah, I just kind of started teaching it one day on a whim. He's one of my really good friend's horses. So I just want to go through the steps of how I got him to where he is now. So this is going to be a more natural method. My goal in this whole thing is to teach him to roll on cue, really. That's all it is. I want to go step by step on how a horse naturally lays down. There's plenty of different methods. You can take it as slow or as quick as you want, whatever your horse is ready for. But this isn't the only way. This is just kind of what I do. And a lot of it is playing off of what the horse allows and what they offer. So if your horse is a bit more timid, they might not want to lay down near you, so you might need to give them more space. Or if your horse is very thoughtful and has an active mind, maybe you want to be pushing them a little bit more to really think. So Maverick is a horse that he can get overwhelmed when he doesn't know what to do, but once he gets it, he works really hard to get it right. And so the first day, all I really wanted was for him to figure out that when I tapped with my crop, that meant put his head down. Maybe he'd get pawing, maybe he'd get walking with it, but I'm starting with the first step. Every horse, before they lay down, they're gonna put their head down. And the way that I teach that, let's see if I can get him a little bit to the side here. So the way that I teach that is either I'm going to tap on their belly or I'm going to tap on their leg. You can pick wherever you want your cue to be from. If you have a horse that you're going to teach them a lot of other things, let's say they're going to do the Spanish walk, or they already do, and maybe tapping on their legs is going to be confusing. It's going to be hard to differentiate those cues. Then you can tap right up under their belly. But if, you know, they are very reactive on their legs, then maybe it makes more sense to them to go with their legs, or maybe that'll instigate pawing a little bit more, which is kind of our second step. So the way that I teach it is I start my tapping cue and then I pull the head down. And it's that simple. He kind of knows what we're doing because this is the 4th day we've done it. But I'll start that tapping cue and then I just pull the head down and then I release when he does it right. So pretty quickly he'll start to learn if I just tap that he's going to put his head down. And he knows now that the next step is pawing. Good boy. So what you're going to do is it's going to be, you know, a ask and then reward for the first step. And then to progress, you want to ask for a few more little tries, right? And every time they give you a try, you give back to them. So if I tap and he puts his head down, and this is maybe day 1 or even day 3, right? And he finally realizes when I tap, I want you to put your head down. I'm going to reward for that and I'm going to stop tapping. Once he really gets that, after he puts his head down, I'm going to ask for more. So I might give him a short release. So I'll go tap, 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 head goes down, release, tap, tap, tap. So I'll go back to it even while his head is already down. And that way he starts to realize that, okay, now I have to try for more. What's the next step? So then he might look to paw, right? So I say tap, 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 tap. Okay, head's down. I gave him a little release. Good. Tap, tap, he paws. I'm not going to let him go much further than that because I know he kind of knows what we're doing. So that's going to be step 1 and 2, I guess, really. So then the next thing that horses do when they're going to roll is sometimes they'll walk around. So I might allow him, if I give him a loose rein and I tap, tap, and then he might start walking around and pawing, you know, and I'm okay with that, right? So then I'll release for that. At that point, some of your horses may decide that they need their space, and all you really have to do is remind them when they stop thinking about laying down. So let them walk on their circle. If their head is down and they're pawing, and they're thinking about laying down and showing those signs, leave them alone. See if they decide to lay down on their own. If they pick their head up and look around, that's when we're gonna say, okay, come on, and we're gonna remind them with the tapping cue. Some horses will learn just off of that. They'll start laying down, and you're good to go. With Maverick, I pushed him a little bit further, and we went from that. So on day 2, I actually got him to lay down by walking in a circle, but it took a while. It was, you know, takes a lot of patience. I wanted him to trust me. So he laid down. I fed him a bunch of cookies. One thing you want to make sure you do when your horse does lay down, don't run up to them. You don't want to scare them. You want to make it a good experience. So you get down on the ground with them, slowly go over to them, feed them cookies, and don't push it. Don't try to get on their back. Don't try to rub on them. Just stay by their head, feed them cookies, let them know that it's the best thing in the world. Just like we build step by step to teach them to lay down, then we can slowly build more and more once they're already down, right? So once they learn how to lay down, then we can, you know, we start by just feeding them cookies to get them to stay down. And then they're going to start to learn to stay down. Then you can cue them to get up. You can start rubbing all over their body, and you just push it one more step every time. But for now, since we're just trying to get the lay down, we're just going to reward the crap out of them laying down. So after we did that, on day 3, he really wasn't interested in just being about on his space and doing it on his own. So on day 3, which was yesterday, I pushed him a little bit harder to really think about what I was asking. So instead of letting him have his space, because he's a very thoughtful horse, I asked him, well, what's the next step? What do you think it is? So I would get close to him and I would ask him to go ahead and put his head down and paw, but then I would keep tapping to see if I could get those hind end to come closer, right? When horses lay down, they start to kind of crouch up. They're going to bring that hind end closer to the front end. So anytime he moved his back legs closer to the front legs, he got a release. And I even gave him a cookie that time because I wanted him to really know that meant something. That was right. That was a good job. So what he started showing me after he started to figure that out, he brought his back legs closer, and then every once in a while he'd walk out of it and I'd tap him again and we'd go back to it. But then he would try to push it so that his back legs were coming closer and closer and closer. And what I noticed is that he wanted to swing his hind end towards me when he did that. Now, typically that's not something you want a horse to do. But what I was able to read from him is that he likes to turn the other direction than what I was asking when he lays down. So he was telling me, I want to turn that direction, and I let him, right? So a lot of it is just reading what the horse is telling you. Well, was that a step towards laying down? Is that what I usually see them do? Then reward it. If it's something that you don't usually see them do and you think that they're trying to, you know, push out of it or get out of something, then let's push them a little bit harder. Let's make them think. So all of this while staying very relaxed. We don't want it to become stressful for us or for the horse. So I'm going to kind of just show a little bit step by step of what he knows. So like I said, the first step was if I tap, head goes down, right? And I would reward for that. Good boy. Now he knows to paw. So step 2 was, okay, head down, paw, and walk, right? Now he's already, did you guys see that? He brought his hind end closer. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to ask him, good, and I'm going to say hind end closer. I'm going to wait for him, good. That's what I'm looking for. And I release, and I give him a cookie. Good job, Mav. All right, we're going to do that again. So I'm going to tap, tap, tap. He's going to paw, and then I'm going to say, okay, that was good, but hind end, I want it to come closer. Good job. And I release. Now, because he knows it, I'm going to keep tapping and say, now I want more. And we're going to go in a circle. Good. See how he goes in that circle towards me? That's okay. So I'm going to push him and say, I really want you to actually go down this time. Good boy, because he knows what to do. Good, so all that crouching, I saw that he probably wasn't going to go all the way down that time, and I wanted him to know that that was the right thought. So I wanted to give him that little release and say, okay, good job. All right, Mav, let's go down this time. So good, and he's going to start circling. Good, we're going to ask again. He got a little off balance. He got nervous about his body. Good. Good job. Come on, let's go again. This time I'm saying that wasn't enough. I want him to get to the point where he goes all the way down for me. Good job. Oh, that's okay. So what he's trying to figure out, he's like, okay, I got all these steps. How do I do it? There we go. Good job. And then see, I just gently come down towards his head and I tell him he's a good boy. There, very nice. Easy, easy. I want him to stay down for a second. Now I'll give him his cue. Okay. Okay, good job, Mav. Very nice, buddy. So I know that's a little bit raw. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. I'm always open to answering questions. But that's day 4 of teaching Maverick how to lay down.